Hello, this is Matt from iSales Solutions, and today we're going to talk about required fields. Required fields is something that just came out somewhat recently I think it was in the fall of 2020. So it is a quite recent feature. I've noticed that a lot of my clients and other people I talk to either aren't using that required feature yet or don't know about it. So I thought this would be a good video to introduce them to it. This video is going to be broken down into three easy parts, which is who has access to the required fields feature, how does it work, and what can you do if you want something like the required fields feature, but unfortunately maybe you don't have access because of the plan you're on, right? All right, so the first thing to get out of the way is who has access to these required fields. The Pipedrive required fields are only available for the professional and enterprise grade plans. So that means if you're on the advanced plan, which I know a ton of users are on, unfortunately you do not have access to this feature, but stick around to the end of this video and you'll see some potential workarounds to make sure that you and your sales team are filling out the required information to really ensure that you're getting that data quality that you need throughout the entire pipeline. Right. So now that we got that out of the way, let's see how it works. I'm going to minimize this camera here and we'll take a look at what it looks like within my Pipedrive account. All right, so we are within my demo Pipedrive account here. And just to first show you even where the Pipedrive required fields setting is, all you have to do is just open up your account bubble here and just hit company settings. Jump down to data fields, and it's right down in this section here next to whatever custom fields you've already created, or where you just hit edit, right? And it's right in this section. Same thing if you create a new field, you see it. Name of the field in the left-hand side, the type of custom field it is right below, and then here's where you have the field properties, right? So these first two sections here is, for example, do you want the field property, or sorry, that custom field to always be visible when you're opening up that deal file? The second one here is if when you're going to add a new deal and you have that dialog box that shows up, do you want that custom field to be present there as well, so you or your team can fill it out at the moment of deal creation, right? So down here below is where you see the important and required fields sections. The important field section I should just mention is available with the advanced plan and up, and that will actually work a little bit into our kind of workaround that I have at the end for those who do not have access to a professional level account. So when you click on the required fields, just note that there are kind of different ways that required fields can be used, right? So you have required fields not just for your deals, but you can also have required fields for your organizations and for people contacts, right? For organizations and people contacts, those required fields are required upon creation, right? You can't say, oh, I want a specific organization custom field to be filled in at this stage of my pipeline. It has to be a deal custom field if you're looking to do required fields by stage, right? Now for deal custom fields, as you can see here, you can do it for either entire pipeline for your entire Pipedrive account. You can do it for specific stages, right? And you can also, this is a new feature they added somewhat recently, also say, okay, if a deal is won, I need this type of, these type of fields filled in, and if a deal is lost, also to have certain required fields if a deal is lost. Maybe that's the lost reason, or some additional notes on why that deal was lost or anything like that. So we've turned on the required field for the lead source in our demo pipeline anytime after it leaves the first stage. So let me show you what that looks like. Now, let's use, for example, this demo deal right here. And when we try to move it into the second stage, we're gonna get this required field that says, uh-oh, you're trying to move into the second stage here. It's required that before you move into the stage, you need to have the lead source filled out. You can't leave the qualified section and not have the lead source filled out, right? So let's say, we just fill that in, we hit save, and we're good to go, right? And if we jump into a deal, for example, if we take this away, you'll see that just like the important fields dialog box, we have a required fields dialog box that shows up at the top here, right? Now, one other important thing to note is that the deal, any type of required field, if you're using the Pipedrive app, in my experience so far, the Pipedrive app does not work with required fields. That means if you have a lot of sales reps working off of the app, maybe on the road a lot, this required fields feature is not going to work at the present time as of this recording on January 15, 2021, right? Pipedrive will hopefully improve this feature soon, so that people who use the app will also be able to follow the same guidelines. But until now, this is only viable for the desktop version of the Pipedrive app, or the cloud version on the computer, right? All right. So you see here how it works. You have the required field that pops up. You know, when you're trying to move stages, and again, if you try to move a stage, it says, "Hold up, you can't move until you add in the correct custom fields," and then it'll disappear, right? So that's how it works, right? If you have deals that have to be required upon stage entry, we can take a quick look at that. Let me go back. I can show you what that looks like. All right, and let's say that we try to just save the deal and create it just like this, right? We're going to get a notification that we can't actually create the deal yet. And if we scroll down, you're going to see here it is. All right, the deal lead source needs to be filled in before we can actually save and create the deal right here, right? All right, so that is an overview of how the Pipedrive required fields feature works. Again, it is only available for the professional or the enterprise plan, but if you do not have access to it, there's a workaround that I want to talk about now, right? So that workaround is the following. All right, so let's say that you don't have access to required fields. You can use, as long as you have the advanced plan, which everything else in this workaround is going to require the advanced plan anyway, you can use the important fields tab, which will show up with the dialog box, right? Which will show up with the dialog box in the top left-hand corner. It does not stop a deal from moving from a certain stage or being logged as won or lost if data is missing. And that's not a good deal to choose. Let's use this one here. But you can see that it shows up at the beginning and it will scroll with you, right? And once you complete it, hit save, it disappears from the dialog box. If that was the last important field to be filled in, the dialog box would disappear for important fields, and you see it show up down here below, right? Now, what we can do is we can use a mix of workflow automations and the important fields tags, right? The important fields feature will just, keep it at the, top of your salesperson's mind that they should be filling in the data. But the other thing that we can do is we can use workflow automation to say, hey, right now you're in the qualified stage. If you move it to the contact made stage, we're going to put in an automation that automatically pushes the deal back and creates an activity reminder saying to update the lead source in this case before you move the deal to the contact made stage. All right, so we see how we set up the trigger is deal updated. It has three conditions in this case. The deal stage has changed, the deal stage is contact made, and the deal lead source is empty, right? Because that's what we want as the quote unquote required field in this case. And then we have two actions. That is to update the deal fields, specifically the pipeline stage, push it back to the qualified stage, which is the first stage of the pipeline. All right, and you can see that we've created an activity here to update the deal lead source before moving the deal to the contact made stage. So you can see what it looks like, and now let's test it out. All right, so I'm going to use this deal here. As we can see, the lead source is not filled in, and I'm just going to try to move the deal to the next stage. So you saw automatically for 1 second it was in the contact made stage, and then it got pushed back to the qualified stage. And apart from that, just as we see here, the update deal lead source before moving the deal to the contact made stage has been created. That activity has been created for the deal owner and made for today. It doesn't matter how many times they try to go to the next stage, it's just going to keep on pushing it back, right? So that is the workaround. That is how you could use workflow automations to achieve something similar to having required fields. Obviously, it's not as nice. It works if the organization is small, but obviously, I would suggest that if your company really relies on having good data for your sales process, or the implementation process or product fulfillment process afterwards to work well, then it can definitely be worth the money to upgrade to the professional plan. But if not, or until then, just use this Pipedrive workflow automation or something similar, and you can achieve a quote unquote required field workaround. So if you need any help, just let us know. My name is Matthew A. Salas, and this is iSales Solutions. And we help our clients implement, customize, automate, and integrate their Pipedrive accounts so that they can have a fluid and efficient and effective sales process. Until next time, see you later.